I feel the need to make this little video now as a note on this note from the notes video. I showed this document in my last video, and I didn't know what it was based upon. What it obviously is a government researcher's handwritten notes on material he's looking at. What is Aggressive Counterintelligence Program, Region 2, Dallas, as a result of Cuban Missile Crisis? Intensified liaison with federal and local agencies, recruited 30 people as potential sources, with at least one source in each sensitive organization within jurisdiction, wrote detailed directive listing agencies, naming contacts, carded and filed. I said I didn't know what that was based on. I should have known what it was based on, because it is based on the 112th Intelligence Corps Group Unit History, which I did quote in the same video, but I quoted something other than this. This comes from Section 3, Region 2. And here's the paragraph that apparently the researcher who wrote that was reading. Activity in the CONUS intelligence area was increased significantly as a result of the Cuban crisis in October. The Aggressive Counterintelligence Program, introduced to region action by Group Headquarters in October 1962, was further implemented at Region 2 by Operations Plan No. 1, Region 2, 112th INTC Group, dated 9 November 1962. This plan, which intensified liaison with federal and local agencies and established procedures for recruiting sources into the program, was implemented to its fullest extent in 1963. 30 people were established as potential sources, and Region 2 established at least one source in each of the sensitive organizations located within its area of jurisdiction. A detailed directive was established listing the agencies and personalities of importance to the program. Information obtained for the liaison files was then carded and filed. So that's obviously what's being referred to in that other document, and they must have been reading this. During 1963, 27 spot reports were forwarded to group headquarters. It was this phase of investigative activities that led to the publishing of implementing instructions, Operational Procedures Number 11, which provide for use of code words in identifying other agencies when reporting information furnished by them telephonically. Now, the two spot reports that I covered in my last video, and the one before that also, those two reports are spot reports and may be part of this program that inadvertently survived and were not destroyed with all the other Army files that were destroyed. But anyway, that's what I suspect, and I suspect those two spot reports were part of this program, that is Operations Plan No. 1, which I think was probably the assassination of the president. So I think the Army Intelligence Office was probably the point group for the assassination. I don't say the Army was necessarily at the top of the conspiracy. I still think the CIA or CIA personnel might be that. But I think that's probably what this is. That is, Operations Plan No. 1 is probably the assassination of JFK. General Coverdale was probably in charge of that, even though the reference to him, which also is in the same document, the history of the 112th, it doesn't say. But if that's the most important thing they were doing, and he's the most important person in their organization, and he's visiting them in 1963, he's probably there to discuss this important operation, which I think is the murder of the president. Okay, I guess that covers it, what I needed to say here.